Hey there everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in for another weekly update of news and information about DCS World and opinions on those things brought to you by me, your host, Prickly Hedgehog. Now, I want to start with, of course, an apology because last week I did not bring you a video and I had promised that I would try to get you one over the weekend, and then, well, things happened and I wasn't able to do that. Work commitments right now have been unbelievable, and last week I had to come in to deal with some things, and then it was sort of like, yeah, we're gonna need you to come in on Saturday. Okay, no problem. And yeah, we're gonna need you to come in on Sunday. So by the time I had finished Sunday evening, I realized I had done no flying. I'd had almost no spare time, and Sunday night I just wanted to go to bed. I was not in the mood to do video editing or do any kind of video gaming / flight sim gaming, and that was the end of my working week. And now, after working 8 days straight now, I'm a little exhausted. So I apologize for that, because that's not normally me, and I like to be able to deliver on my promises. What's going on with 2020 right now? Sorry, it just hit me. I realize, in addition to my own dramas, they pale into insignificance compared to the issues we have in our communities right now. And I hope if you're a DCS fan who's been affected by that, I hope you're safe wherever you are. I hope if you are angry and frustrated that you're making good decisions. It's hard to be productive and, how would you say, healing when you're angry. We have in this country a lot of social issues that need to be addressed, and there needs to be a lot of healing. And I don't want to turn this into a political rant, but again, just to say, hey, take care of yourselves out there, because there's a lot of stuff going on right now that are broader social issues that I can't fix, certainly by myself. It's going to take a major community effort to rebuild some trust and rebuild the positive society that the United States is, and just how much of a great country this is. And it's sad to see ourselves in a position where we don't have community trust, and we have lost respect for authority, and to the point where people have really had enough, and that's sad. And it's justifiable anger, and we've also got to be very careful, though, that it doesn't transition to some of the violence that we've seen. And I don't know. It's a can of worms, and I don't want to have that topic. I want to focus on DCS, so we'll stop right there. But again, like I said, if you're a DCS fan who's been affected by this in some way, shape, or form, I hope you're doing well. And let's get back onto the business of the good stuff, which is the great news in DCS right now. 2.5.6 open beta, of course, has all these goodies, and I constantly get asked, when is the stable version of 2.5 going to be updated? Well, of course, it was last week. They have transitioned all of those 700 plus fixes and adjustments and new stuff and bug squashes have all been implemented out into 2.5 stable version. And that's good news. I'm curious to see how it goes for you in terms of your hardware and whether or not you've noticed any differences. I know a lot of people have asked me how to get to the open beta. Do we fly, those of us who play DCS a lot, do we fly just open beta? A lot of us do. I know that. And, should I even be bothering with just the stable version? Well, now it's going to be kind of a moot point. We have not only the stable version with all the pretty adjustments, including the transparent water, the light adjustments and terrain mapping and so on and so forth, but we also have the JF-17 Thunder has been thrown into the stable version, which is cool, and also the recently released SuperCarrier, they're saying here. So now you can get your eyes on the SuperCarrier. You won't be able to get your plane on it, so you won't be able to interact with it, but at least you can have a kind of a look at it. And of course, it is still for sale if you wish to purchase it and play it in the stable version. Now's your opportunity to do that, which is cool. A little bit of news here about the Marianas Island map. We're going to talk about that in just a second. And they also have some good news about the Vajo technologies that they're working with to give us a really cool support for advanced features of VR, and we'll talk about that in just a second here as well. They have reminded us about the Eagle Dynamics bonus program, which ends today, June 1st, and that was replaced with the Miles and More program, and the other program is being phased out. So, let's talk about 2.5.6 stable release. Remember, as I said, one of the features that we've got here, they've done some updates to the game's ability to use CPU load distribution and frames per second management when using peripheral hardware. In other words, your graphics cards and things. Remember, most of us these days are running multi-core CPUs, and one of the criticisms was that the game engine doesn't take advantage of these. Be interesting to see what your experiences are, those of you that are stable version players, or if you're a new player getting into the game and wondering what I'm talking about here. Remember, it's their own proprietary game engine. They don't use an outside source, and it's been around for a while, so they're slowly bringing it up to where our current technology is, and this has been an ongoing process with open beta. Lots of stuff going on, but now some of these features are being, as I said, they've now thrown all of these features that they've had pretty much from open beta, from what I can tell, into this stable version, which is cool. But let me know what you've experienced with your own hardware and stuff, because due to the variety of technology out there, some people are going to have different experiences, so I'm curious. Alright, I will throw a link to the full changelog if you're interested. It's way too much stuff. Like I said, it's 700 improvements and features and fixes. I'm not going to be able to go through all of those without it being even remotely interesting. But it's cataloged, and you can pick out the pieces that may interest you as well for the stable version. Mariana's map, here we've talked about this, is something that's still in progress. It's going to be a lot of water by the looks of things, because the islands themselves are pretty small. We're talking just 3,500 people, and Rota, the main island, Rota Island, is also known as the Friendly Islands, apparently, is 19 kilometers in length, and it features a variety of dormant volcanoes. They've got Anderson Air Force Base there, which is the primary base, and we've got several air wings there, including, what have we got, the 36th wing, if I can say that right, the 734th Air Mobility Support Squadron, Air Mobility Command, in parentheses, and the Helicopter Sea Combat Squadron 25. So they're continuing to improve the cross-balance of color and gamma between the terrain textures, vegetation and ground, trees and other objects, and the water's fluidity, which is going to be important in a map where there's pretty much all water. Its color and transparency have also been tuned for more realistic characteristics, and as you can see from the screenshots, let me know. Always hard to tell how YouTube is going to modify that, but so far, yeah, looks pretty cool, and it's going to give us a different environment to play around in. Yeah, I think it's a good thing. Now, they are still working on the Thunderbolt, and there has been some videos already, a couple of lucky YouTubers, I wasn't one of them, who got to play around with the P-47. And to be honest, I'm not a huge World War II guy. I do like the aircraft, but it's not something I've primarily got into. I'm kind of more of a modern jets guy. However, any addition to the World War II genre is going to be good for the game, builds our player base, and it keeps the whole thing chugging along, which I like to say, which I think is good. They've also talked here a little bit about the channel early access map, and they look forward to sharing more progress with you. That will be good. We do have Normandy right now. A lot of people have criticized the frame rate in Normandy, and I don't know if any of the changes here that we have talked about have made specific differences to that. That will be curious to know, but anyway, it will be nice to have a proper channel map for that World War II environment, Battle of Britain type stuff. Yeah, so it's cool to see. Right, now I mentioned this Varjo Technologies thing here, and I don't know much about this. They said it's some of the changes that they're looking at here, or some of the work that they're doing with them, will be highly beneficial to more commercial or military simulation situations. They're saying here the highest end virtual simulations by DCS and Varjo. DCS World now supports Varjo's human eye resolution headsets, Varjo VR2 and VR2 Pro. Varjo is the Finnish maker of the world's most advanced virtual and mixed reality products for professionals. Together, Varjo and DCS offer one of the highest definition and most realistic experiences available in the flight simulator market. With Varjo's industrial-grade devices that deliver 60 pixels per degree resolution, the smallest details in the cockpit, including the smallest font sizes, buttons, and gauges, are crystal clear. In addition, the mixed reality headset, or Varjo XR1, permits you to use your own hands as controllers, whilst flying in photorealistic virtual scenery, using what they call here as real-time chroma keying. I'm going to have to do some more research. Obviously, that is pretty startling. I don't know if it's a commercially available piece of equipment. I dread to think how much this thing costs. Now, that's something I'm going to look into. Remember that one of the criticisms that a lot of, and not so much a criticism, just a recognition of this is where the technology is at this current time, is that, the VR doesn't offer you the highest resolution compared to the 2D screen, but it does offer you the real immersion experience that players are looking for in this particular type of gaming. It's particularly beneficial. A lot of people talked about the depth perception and making it easier to do air-to-air refueling and stuff like that, and that a lot of people wouldn't go back to the 2D environment as a result of this experience. However, one of the trade-offs is that you get this lower resolution of some of the cockpit details and some of the real-world environment as well. Plus, the other thing is a lot of the VR headsets require a pretty decent graphics card. There's a lot of processing that needs to occur because you've got effectively two screens, and so if your system isn't beefy enough, you may find you're not getting a positive experience out of the VR technology. So I'm very, very curious about this. I dread to think how much one of these things costs. I'm going to have a look now. But I am kind of fascinated to see how it functions in DCS, because one of the things we like as sim pilots is realism, even though it is a simulator and a game. There's a limit to how much realism you can include on a 2D screen in terms of what you can experience physically and what you can see based on the way that the human eye works when it interacts with a 2D environment. And I think this is one of the challenges of DCS world as well. All right, so very interesting stuff. That could be the future of gaming right there. If that kind of technology is, something that becomes available to the general public in future, with the level of development that we're having with hardware, certainly when we think about some of the graphics cards we have now, these things were never around when, 15 years ago. It was almost unthinkable. The power that we have from a home computer right now is massive. So with every decade or so, we have these major strides in our hardware. So we're looking really, really positive, I think, as a future, especially with games like Microsoft 2020 coming out and using ultra-realistic graphics. The future of flight simming is really, really exciting right now, and I think it's cool. All right, well, this is becoming a long video, so I think we'll stop right now. And thanks for tuning in, everybody. Thanks for all the likes and subscribes. I really appreciate it. Keeps the channel chugging along. And as I said before, hope you're doing well. Take care of yourself out there. Carry on flying. This is Prickly Hedgehog out.